And we're live. Welcome to the American Hammers TV channel. I'm Scott Davis, Denver, West Ham, here in Denver, Colorado. Down in the great state of Texas. Wave at us, James. You're out there, buddy. We can see you. We got from Chicago. We got Justin from the Chicago Hammers. And we got a couple of guests tonight. They've been here before. It's not quite the same time zone for us. Charlie, what time is it, buddy?
It's 2 minutes past 5 in the morning, currently on a Monday, on a school night, if anything.
5 in the morning?
Sorry, 5 minutes past 2 in the morning. You said it's late.
It is late. And Tom's in the same time zone. Tom, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Yeah, not bad, thanks. I was going to say, it doesn't matter if it's 2 minutes past 5 or 5 minutes past 2. You can always guarantee Charlie's going to be awake, so...
I'm always amazed at the number of times I get grief from people I talk to in the UK about being up at weird times. You guys, you're giving me nothing but firepower back to my friends out in the east. Hey, welcome tonight. Tonight's go number 2 at our transfer roundtable. We had a little technical problem last week. I was a technical problem. I didn't press record. We had a great evening. Justin, James, you guys were awesome. Keith's not here this week, so we decided to get in the backups from the Hammers chat forum. Guys, thanks so much for joining. Before we get started here, I want to thank our sponsor, Strawberry Craft Coffee. I don't have a bag here. I've decided not to drink coffee anymore. But imagine that I'm Tim. I'm much taller, not different Tim, much taller with a bag of coffee. All right? Everybody see the coffee? Great. Hey, tonight we want to go through some rumors, some ideas of what are going on within the transfer world. We tried this last week, and we had not signed Fornals yet. But, by the way, how do you pronounce his name?
I think it's Fornals, right?
Because somebody made a joke about how, he's a perfect player for the Hammers, 4 nails. I didn't work for me.
It's an old reference to like an English sketch show. There's like a whole bit where he says 4 nails and he's got it's a long thing to explain, but I've seen it a lot of times and that's where it comes from.
Dude, we'll give you that. Anyways, tonight we want to go through some transfer rumors. We want to talk about some of our craziest transfer rumors. We want to talk about what people want to see, what they haven't seen, what they think of the business so far, and what's going on. So I'm going to throw it open right now. James, I'm going to throw it to you right now, buddy. What is the craziest transfer rumor you've heard so far?
I think that would be today, the Diop to Man United rumor just kind of kicked up today. It's ridiculous, like $45 million plus a player. Like who would we want from them? I can't think of anybody that we would really want from them. I really don't know. It's just crazy to me. I don't think I see us getting rid of him at all.
I don't see it either, buddy. Justin, what's the craziest one you've heard so far?
Well, when you say craziest, I think of sort of like the most outlandish rumor. I mentioned it last week. I still think it's the craziest because it was the most laughable, and that was the Juan Cuadrado rumor a couple weeks ago. I do agree though with James in that I think the offer for Diop was a little too low, and I also heard that they were trying the player to be named was Phil Jones, no, So I would agree with
Tom
James.
Laughing at that. Tom, how would you feel about exchange? Is a Diop for Jones? How are you feeling about that, buddy? You feeling good?
It's laughable, really, isn't it? I think I think there's not many sort of incoming rumours that are a bit sort of over the top this time. So I guess it would probably have to be the Issa Diop rumour. Not for the fact they wanted him, because I think obviously Jose Mourinho pinpointed him saying he was a monster earlier on in the season when we played against Manchester United. But I think it's just what they were giving up in return and the fee. I think he's established himself as one of probably the best young centre-halves in England. And the fact that they would offer, Phil Jones or any of the Manchester United back four, I think is the laughable bit. It doesn't matter if they offered Phil Jones, Rojo, Lindelof, by any of them. I wouldn't take them above Issa Diop, not especially after the amazing first season that he's had with us.
All right, so let me throw it to you. If they offered anybody at all from Man U for Diop, is there a name you'd take?
This is like a Geo question that we get on Hammers Chat all the time. He just throws us under the bus, so you give responsibility.
It's okay. He and I have been chatting online on Twitter. He and I throw each other under the bus constantly, so you're all good.
It's like talking to Geo in an American version. Who?
Canadian.
Canadian. Deeply apologise. Is there anybody I would take? Would it be wrong of me to say no? I don't think there's one single person that I would take. Not because it's not that they don't have good young talent there, Martial, Rashford, but I just think a lot of the time those guys can get overrated and overhyped. I think Rashford, although he's done well, I think I saw a stat floating around about him compared to Carlton Cole or something on Twitter the other week, and the stats weren't too dissimilar. So no, I genuinely, for the first time, I think I can say in a good sort of probably since the final season at the Bowling, I'm happy with the group of core guys that we have, and I don't think that there's anybody I'd take from Manchester United. Actually, I know now I've said that, David De Gea, but you know what? No, I back Lucas Fabianski, so no, I'm going to go on my guts and say that I wouldn't take anybody.
I saw James shake his head. James, I'm going to throw to you before I go to Charlie. David De Gea, yes or no?
Absolutely not. He is definitely on the decline, and Fabianski, I think his save percentage and the way he makes saves is way better currently. He's been on better form the last couple of years. De Gea has been on the downhill side. He actually lost his spot in Spain, didn't he? In the Spain squad. Yeah.
I believe he did.
All right, but he's still not fantastic, but I think Fabianski's got him that edged out right now.
All right, thank you. Charlie, your turn. What's the craziest rumor you've heard so far?
Yeah, the Diop one is a big one, but I wouldn't call it the craziest just because I think it's very plausible United would look at him. If he was playing for, say, any team that wasn't in the Premier League or any top team, Man United would probably have an incredible shot at actually getting him. But given the fact that they're trying to buy him from another Premiership team, we can just ask for an astronomical fee, as they're finding out with Wan-Bissaka at the moment. So for me, the craziest one is actually probably Morgan Sanson to West Ham. Not only do I think he is probably destined for much, much bigger things than with us, being frank about it, but the fact that I saw it come up yet again this morning, that we have been in contact, and that I saw a French contact saying that his transfer to us is almost like it's imminent. Given the money that we've paid for Fornals and given the money that we know we sort of have available, I think that's completely bonkers, and I just can't see it happening unless we just want a fleet of attacking midfielders to just go at another team. I just don't see it being real.
We could sit there and just churn over attacking midfielders all season long and never have two the same on one match.
Yeah.
I did actually pose this to X last week just for fun, because I mean, if there's any two people who are going to hear the crazy rooms, it's going to be X. And it's going to be Sean from Clareton Blue or Clareton Hugh, and his favorite one so far was Lewandowski. How would you feel about Lewandowski at West Ham United? James, any thoughts?
I don't see it happening. Contrary to the new transfer policy that we're supposedly under with younger players, not the older ones, and I can't imagine what his wages would be. Like, it would just be astronomical. Like, I don't see how that would happen. I don't see how he would fit at all.
Cool. All right, Justin, you're up. Transfers. What transfers do you want yet? What do you see that we haven't done? What do we need to do? Or frankly, if you could just dream, what would you like?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a dream, but the one guy that I want to get over the finish line is Gomez. I think we need a striker. I think I talked about this a little last week, where I compared Gomez to Felipe Anderson. Obviously not the same position, but he's the guy that I feel is Pellegrini's number one target. He has his heart set on him, just like he did Anderson last summer. He eventually got Anderson over the line. I think Anderson had a good season, especially for a first year in the Premier League. So I trust in Pellegrini, I trust in Husios, I trust in their scouting. And if they want Gomez, a young, talented striker in Europe, I really want him over the finish line. I really want him. I think we need another striker, and I think he can be really good for us. So that's the one guy that I really want, and I really hope we can beat out Valencia for.
Excellent. Tom, who would you throw to if you could? Who is the transfer you want?
I think it has to be Gomez. I mean, I've not seen a lot of him in Europe at all. Obviously, I'm not, Celta Vigo weren't exactly fantastic last season. I think they were almost on the brink of being relegated. Didn't actually see if they did get relegated or not. I imagine they didn't.
They did not in the end.
Okay. But again, sort of not seen much of this striker, only sort of hearsay him. that he is a promising young, bullish, forward that I believe that we've lacked for quite some time. I think, it's one thing having Arnautovic, but he's a converted winger. He's not a proper finisher, not a proper goal scorer, and I think that's what we've lacked for years, for almost decades it seems, probably since Di Canio or Ashton or someone of sort of that ilk. So I think he is obviously the number one target, as Justin alluded to, and I think it's a statement of intent if we can sort of beat out these, I want to say, top teams that some of these players are linked to. Like obviously the Fornals signing is a massive coup for us, as a football club. And I think it's the same thing for Maxi Gomez. And I think it's not just the fact that it's a striker as well. I think it's the fact he's a young, sort of prolific striker that's the main thing. And I thought, similar to what Hugh Sloss and Pellegrini had done with Fornals was they didn't just sign a young player; they got him on a 5-year contract as well. And that obviously means if we were to ever sell, we sell for big money. And I think that's the same with Gomez. He may not, if we signed him, be around for the next 10 years, but he'll come with a big price tag. So I completely trust in whatever those guys want to do. And I think if we can get this deal across the line and sort of that's it, apart from Joan Jordan for our summer business, I'd be extremely happy.
All the Americans and the Canadians have a hard time with Joan Jordan because every time we hear his name, the older guys are thinking Joan Jett. And we're all doing old 80s hair band rock tunes. So, Tom, thanks very much. Charlie, I'm going to throw it to you in a second here. But James and Justin, specifically, I want you two guys to get ready to think. If not Gomez, who? Because you're going to be up next. That's me trying not to throw you under the bus. All right, Charlie. Dream. Who do you want?
Speaking of Joan Jett, I mean, Mitrovic is a guy who I don't really care about his bad reputation. I sort of would quite like to see him at the club. But I think for me, the true answer is probably whoever Pellegrini and Hugh Sloss think is the right man. I would back 10,000%. Even if, like I said, I said on a video when we signed Fornals that it wasn't something I would have gone for. Not because he's a bad player. He really excites me as a footballer. I just don't think we need him. But the fact they want him, I go, fair. You guys have proven your worth. You've proven you're trustworthy. You go and you get what you want. But if you're talking purely about dreams, it's completely unrealistic. But I'm really concerned about our right back situation at the moment. I'm not convinced by Frederick in any way, shape, or form.
Wow.
Zabaleta, I think, has maybe a year left. Sorry, go on. You were going to say something? Or...
No, we talked left back all last week. You're the first person to go right back. Keep going.
Yeah. Because I think I don't think either of the left backs are good enough to be first choice in a similar way to Adrian and Randolph weren't good enough to be first choice either. They seem to be very similar, but I'm at least mildly confident in them being as good as they were last season. This season, I don't see Fredericks being trustworthy at all, to be perfectly honest with you. I think that Zabaleta is coming to the end of his career, and I don't think that's a bad thing. But there were some signs last season which really worry me, and so completely unrealistic, I'm not going to say impossible, but highly unlikely. I'd go and get someone like Kenny Tete from Europe, basically. Just look for a good young right back who's going to come in, who has pedigree, who has a reputation, who, as Tom alluded to, and I think all of you would agree, if we got Maxi Gomez and he did well, we could sell him for a huge amount of money. The same thing in this position. That's the sort of thing I would look for. Completely unrealistic, but as you say, it's a dream signing for me.
You've completely thrown me. I had a backup question ready to go, and you've just blown me away by going right back. Sorry, who's up?
No, I was going to ask Charlie a follow-up question to that. If it's Fredericks from the last few games of the season where Pellegrini trusted him and said, almost gave him the reins and said, go play, and gave him that starting role, would that not make you a bit more hesitant to sign a right back if you if he continued his development and he sort of became a good all-round Premier League right back that could defend and attack like he showed in those last 4 or 5 games?
Yeah, but he's shown in just as many games that he hasn't been that good. And I think his pace really saves him. For example, he will make a mistake or will be too far forward, and then he'll have so much pace that he can get in and back around the striker to get into the right position to make this last-ditch challenge, which is an incredible thing to have. If Pellegrini gave him the go-ahead and said, you're my first-choice guy, he has to do that with one of the two of them. And again, I would ultimate trust goes to Pellegrini. But if I'm the manager, and again, this is a dream signing, I'm not really thinking about money, I'm not thinking about anything, I would go out and sign a proper right back who would be there for years to come and not keep switching out, because we've been switching out right backs for such a long time now, since Jenkinson came in. It's just been new right back the entire time.
Before I throw to Justin to ask who his thoughts on Gomez here, or if not Gomez, then who? I will tell you that when we had this conversation last week, Mo Diame's name came up, and we all voted no. Mo's out. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. I appreciate the face rub. You made me feel better. All right, Justin. If not Maxi, who?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really heard any other names, at least consistently, that have been rumored as a potential backup to Gomez if we don't get him, which all the more reason why I really want to get Gomez. I think they're putting all their eggs in one basket here. If we don't get him, I'm not really quite sure. I know Charlie mentioned Mitrovic. I think he's a solid striker. I don't really. It'd be a bit underwhelming to get him after getting our hopes up for Gomez. I'm not really quite sure, to be honest. The only thing I will say is that I've heard some Balotelli rumors rolling around, and I just have to say on the record that I honestly, truly hope we do not sign him. If we do, you wouldn't be against signing him?
No, I don't think, because it's not that. I just don't think that we're well sort of versed in that sort of position. I think if Fernandes goes to Valencia, I fully expect that he's going to move on this window, and that leaves us really with Jordan Hugill, who I know Charlie is a big fan of. But I don't think we can be picky in that position. I think if there's somebody who's really a natural born striker, but it just needs to get his attitude in check, I'm not against it. Like I said, when I think that we're specifically lacking in that position and aiming to push for Europe next season, we need to have good backup depth. And if he was to come in on a 1 or 2 year deal for say 60, 70 grand a week, I'm not opposed to that.
You just said good backup depth. You really think Balotelli would be okay with being a backup?
But I think it's, again, if you don't get your first choice, there's not a lot of strikers that are kicking around. And to be fair, Balotelli's the kind of player that could play more than half a games a season. And knowing our injury record as well, I don't think it's a bad thing having someone of his caliber to play in that position. I'm not saying he would obviously sign for us. I'm saying I'm definitely not against it if he was, an option.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely understand what you're saying, and I just him and Arnautovic being our strikers, just the attitude combined between those two people, I don't see anything good coming out of that, to be honest. But I understand what you're saying.
Sign him if we got rid of Arnautovic. I think if we got rid of Arnautovic and then needed to bring somebody in, I'd quite happily get Balotelli if that was the case.
Cool. I understand that. I even asked that question. James, before I go to you, I just want to let you know that Tim has picked me 3 times so far, asking me if we see a recording light, and I've told him we have seen the recording light, so we're all good. We are recording. James, if not Maxi Gomez, who you got?
Honestly, I don't know. I think a lot of that depends on if Chicharito leaves or not, which I think he will. I think he's on the way out. He just had a baby a few weeks ago, and his partner is in Spain, and I think that's where he wants to be. So I think he's going to be moving there. The problem with Mitrovic, like we talked about, he's incredibly wasteful with his shots. He had the second or third highest shots in the league and only scored 11 goals. I actually kind of got in a little tiff with somebody on Reddit, on the West Ham subreddit, about this a couple of weeks ago, and I just pulled it up as you were talking about it.
Hey! West Ham subreddit, Warrant, you on Hammer's chat? Sorry, I've
been on the West Ham subreddit for 7 or 8 years, and I really don't even go there, but it's just
around for 3 or 4. Come on,
yeah.
I'll
think about it. I hadn't said I'd sign up for the Dallas Hammers forum today, actually. So
sorry, just so Tom and Charlie know, we have to take the piss out of each other constantly, and the other thing is we have to mention 2 things. We have to mention PSJ, and we have to mention Tompkins. We've done our quota now. Keep going, James.
So Mitrovic had 131 shots last year, and he only scored 11 goals. And he had 11.9 shots per goal. And even our strikers, Chicharito, Arnie, were in the 5 to 6 range shots per goal. Maxi Gomez is at 6.3. to me, he's a massive downgrade, incredibly wasteful. We already have a problem getting service to our guys. So if he's going to waste twice as many shots, I don't see how he works.
That's a pretty impressive stat. I mean, I'd never counted that. A question for you: do you have Michael Antonio's shot percentage? How many shots does he take that hit the goal versus ending up in Rosette?
Don't
I
start
don't,
this.
but I will.
Me and
I will
Charlie go
text
off.
it to you though.
I will take it from you later. Hey, I'm going to move on to the next question here. James, I'm going to stay with you here. Who are we selling that we haven't talked about yet? Who do you think's going to leave the club? You mentioned Chicharito. You think he's gone. We're going to get to Arnie here later on, so everybody should prep their keep or sell idea for Arnie going. Who do you think we're selling that we haven't talked about yet?
It's a hard one because I know we've talked about Obiang, we've talked about Chicharito, possibly Ogbonna going. I do know that we're not going to sell anyone that's homegrown because we're really light on the quota and we need to get one or two more in, honestly. So you kind of look through the squad, it's like, who do we get? We're talking about selling Oxford, so that's a homegrown quota out the door. Diangana is going to possibly go out on loan, even though he counts, he may be gone. So it's going to be tough. I mean, Fornals being in, I mean, maybe Lanzini with all the transfer talk last week. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think that could be a very surprise let go. If I had to pick, I would say possibly, other than Chicharito or Obiang, I would say possibly Ogbonna would go. But, I mean, Lanzini's like the only next option. Now, the thing is, I don't know that we have to let anybody go necessarily, to sell anybody, because we freed up so many wages, and that goes to our transfer budget. I mean, just between Adrian, Andy Carroll, and Perez, it's something close to pushing $300,000 a week. I mean, it's insane. So, that kind of factors into the transfer budget. So, I don't know. Definitely not a homegrown player. Yeah.
Okay, you're so tempting me. I published a table a while ago of what the salaries were, and I got fairly close to the place where somebody who was connected with the club actually emailed me and said, no, you got these ones wrong, and gave me the right numbers. And I published it, and I got so much grief. I'm so tempted to publish it just to make people mad, but I think right now I'm going to hold off. All right, Justin, who do you think's for sale that we don't know right now?
That we don't know is for sale?
Or you haven't heard much about. I think we've all kind of agreed that Chicharito is likely to go. We know Hugo's going to Real Madrid. We do know that so far.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Big moves.
Yeah, Chicharito's the big one, right? Definitely think we should sell him because I think this next year is the last year of his contract, I believe. So definitely should sell him, get something back. I mean, I've always been a proponent of selling Obiang. I really don't think he offers too much. Doesn't really have any creativity going for him. And it seems like while he's not a pure attacking midfielder, our midfield seems to be getting more clustered as time goes on. I actually think we could get. Seems like he wants to go back to Italy. I think we could get. I've heard like around £8 million for him. I would take that in a heartbeat. So would definitely love to sell Pedro.
Yeah. Would you bring Josh Cullen up to replace Obiang?
You've stolen my where I was going.
Okay, hang on. Whoa, Justin, hang tight. I think Tom has a thought here. Tom, you're on, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, the squad, I think, I don't think there's going to be much movement other than sort of what we mentioned in terms of Chicharito, Obiang, and Ogbonna. I think it's more sort of the young players that we once thought were going to come through that sort of haven't. And it's not to say that they're going to, they weren't good enough. I just don't think that, that more that their time has passed, I think, at West Ham. And I think sort of you can include Josh Cullen in that conversation. And it's really sad to say because I've seen Josh the last couple of seasons in pre-season. Sorry, my nose is going. I've had hay fever all week. I just feel a sneeze coming on.
It's the time of year, lad. We get it.
But I think, seeing him in pre-season, we've always sort of said, oh, this is his year. He's next Mark Noble, almost in sort of that style mould. And I know Gio, specifically on Hammers Chat, we've had this conversation a few times. He would have loved to have had him sort of in and around the first team years ago. But he just hasn't had that chance. I think slowly we're sort of seeing these group of youngsters in terms of Tony Martinez, Keena, Oxford, what's his face, Samuelson, Reece Burke. I just think there's all these players that we once thought sort of had their time at the club. It's slowly been and gone. And I know we've released Connor Coventry today. I think he's gone to Coventry, I think, or something like that.
Well, look, we released Connor Coventry.
That was Josh Pask.
Thank gosh.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't. Coventry's supposedly going to be around the first team this season.
Oh, okay.
I just scared the crap out of me, Tom.
I tell you where that come from. I saw we have a little group chat for the Hammers Chat stuff, and I saw Coventry, and I thought when I saw it, I thought Connor Coventry was the one that had gone. If it's Josh Pass, that's absolutely fine. But no, I think even still, I think there's sort of a lot of youngsters that we once thought would sort of be the mainstay of this team and sort of come through, just haven't. And I think the surprise one for me would be, I don't know, somebody like a Josh Cullen or a Marcus Brown or someone like that feels like they have to go out and get first team football now.
Okay.
And Scott, I'd like to say something on that point since we're talking about the youngsters, and we also spoke about the right back as well. I agree with what Charlie said about Ryan Fredericks. Inconsistent play, also inconsistent health. So this year's going to be big. Zabaleta's legs are going. What do you guys think about Ben Johnson? I believe he's a right back, correct?
He is a right back. He played left back against City for the one match. Looked really good. Yeah, guys, what do you think? Ben Johnson, is it his time? Charlie, I'm going to throw to you.
I think, it depends because you've obviously got a lot of right backs. We've got two right backs at the club. But if
I'm saying like if one of them, like if Fredericks kept getting hurt or poor performances, same thing with Zaba, maybe. One of those two aren't really performing well enough. Maybe bring him in the mold.
100%. And I think, we saw against City that he can do big things and that. And I think that I think he's good enough to have the opportunity. And to be honest with you, if neither of the left backs are performing, he could probably have a go there as well. Especially against certain opposition, especially in the cups. There's opportunities for a lot of these young players to be blooded in and to get great opportunities to prove themselves in the first team, like the Ngana did previously last season. But when it comes to the sort of surprise person selling, I think Arnautovic, man. I can see him going. I understand that everyone keeps saying that he's staying now, and I understand the logic behind that, especially with everyone going. But the one thing that I think gets missed when we talk about Maxi Gomez and obviously you lot spoke about Balotelli earlier, and would he be happy to be second choice? I don't think Arnautovic would be happy to be second choice. And yet we bring in Maxi Gomez, he's going to be second choice. And do we really need someone who has already kicked up a fuss when he was the main man at the entire club, let alone first choice? He was
absolutely
the guy.
Wouldn't surprise me though.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me at all, but I think he might be on the cut list if we just get someone to slap down the money.
Wouldn't they be played together? Arnautovic and Gomez.
Depends what the formation is. I personally wouldn't play two up top, but it depends what the formation is, I guess, yeah.
All right, so this was going to come later. This is a simple one-word answer. Keep or sell. James, Arnautovic, keep or sell?
For now, keep.
Okay. Tom, keep or sell?
Sell.
Charlie?
Sell.
Justin?
Long answer.
Go. Long answer. I will go with you last because we did this last week and you had a great answer.
Yeah, we did this last week. It's like, well, sell for what? I mean, sell for the right price. If the right price comes, sell. If it doesn't come, keep. That's my.
What's the right price?
Yeah,
I would say 30. Honestly, bare minimum 25. Would like 30, but I'd sell for 25.
I think we take less on him because I think people know what Arnautovic comes with. And if it was 20 million, I'd say to go. I think 30 in January, closer to 40, but not now. I think 20, but that's because of his attitude that does that.
Yeah, I mean, I could see your point, but also if we sell him for 20, we better have Gomez coming in or already in.
Well, hang on, you can't get off the hook here, Scott. Though, what's your opinion on?
He might
Yes
be
or no?
frozen.
Oh, he is frozen. Oh no! He's just said his PC crashed. All right, well, go on then.
Man.
Are we recording still?
Yeah, we're recording.
That's
Okay,
all
cool.
right. We just need another question though. I mean, really though, the Arnautovic thing, I guess you could.
All right, it says it's starting recording. All right, so hello everybody, welcome back. I know that everybody's going to be shocked, but we've had a technical problem again. This time, my PC crashed. Fortunately, it looks like it's safe for the first part, so we're going to post a two-parter tonight. Tim, don't kill me. That's all I'm asking, buddy. All right, deep breath. All right, I'm going to go back to where we were, and I'm arbitrarily going to start with Charlie. No, actually, no, Justin. You were preaching manifestly about keep or sell Arnautovic. Keep or sell, buddy. You're up.
Yeah. The long answer is sell for what price? Definitely would sell for the right price. I said 25 million would be my minimum. Would love 30. Otherwise, I'd keep him. That's my take on him.
All right. Calm moment here. Somebody mentioned Mitrovic a minute ago. On behalf of my Serbian friend, Nick Stamper out in New York City, if you couldn't get Maxi Gomez, Balotelli's not available. West Ham signs Mitrovic. How does that work out? How does his attitude work out? What are your thoughts? Tom, I'm going to throw to you here.
Yeah, I'm not. I know James wasn't sort of for it, and a very good reason with his shot to goal ratio. I think that he would thrive personally at West Ham. I think it's all well and good judging someone based on their, shots to whatever in a team that just got relegated and was, in the bottom half of the table for pretty much all the season. I think that if he's at West Ham, I think he has a lot better service. I think he has the opportunity that, almost like Carroll did, with getting his head on the end of crosses, or just a simple through ball that maybe, Tom Kearney doesn't necessarily offer at Fulham, but where the likes of Fornals and Lanzini and other guys do. So I think if it's sort of, we don't get our guys, but we get Mitrovic, I think it's, personally, I think it's a good signing for us. He's another one that I'm not against. I think there's certain strikers that I think can go, no, don't fancy that. But I think he's a big, bullish centre half. And I think he's another one. If you curb his attitude and you get it right, I think he's a top player on his day. And, like I said, I think mainly for the fact that the service being one is one of the reasons why I would sign him, because I think he would, as I said, thrive from the players that we have to provide that service.
I had an opportunity to go watch Watford play at Fulham this past year, and I was amazed at exactly how bad Fulham was. Mitrovic didn't necessarily stand out that game, but what did stand out was they couldn't pass the ball. They couldn't do anything with it. So when they played us hard and almost made us look like fools in the first couple of minutes of one of our matches this year, it did not make me feel great. Charlie, if we had to take Mitrovic, would you take him?
Yeah, I've already alluded that I would. I think if you look at, I don't know his exact stats. For example, I don't know what his XG is, but we were taking a chronic lack of shots last year, especially in and around the area. That was two parts of the problem. I think we had a lot of people who were shot shy when it got near clear, and I think a lot of people were shooting from range, and I also think we weren't very good at getting the ball into it. And I think what gets overlooked with Mitrovic is his style, because I think a lot of people pigeonhole him into being a target man because he's quite big, and I think people tend to think of it as target man versus someone who's fast and nippy and small, like, say, Marcus Rashford as an example. I think what attracts me to Mitrovic is he's got the upper body strength and the bullishness that Tom's just said that Arnautovic has, because that's one of Arnautovic's biggest strengths. The ball comes long over the top, over his shoulder, and he will fight someone. He will straight up fight them. He does not care. He will scrap you, right? And he will pass you out of the way and fight his way to the ball. And that is something I think we sort of need to replace in a way. I think that's the sort of thing we should be looking at. That's what was predominantly our most effective thing last year. And Mitrovic is, in my opinion, the best option for that in the Premier League. And I think although he played for a relegated side, and I know there is a stigma to signing people who played for relegated sides, I disagree with that, and I think you could probably pick him up for cheaper than you would someone else of his caliber. And it's him. He's young, man. He's younger than he looks, and if he had another good season, he'd be worth even more money. And I think he would quite happily look and place at a Europa League level side anywhere in the world, let alone at West Ham. So for me, Mitrovic is the obvious answer. There's some other people who are lower loud, Rondon, people like that who I enjoy. I love Glenn Murray, but that's just me on my ones. And Tom has already said, Jordan Hugel's my boy. But yeah,
he's going to Real Madrid. We've been trying to get this trend for like several weeks. Hugel to Madrid. No one's biting.
Charlie's got him penned in as the next WWE star in China. I think,
it's happening. My man's going on the street like the Undertaker.
Just so you know, I'm taking the piss now from Keith Willis. Who was on last week, giving me grief about more technical problems, and Scott's cursed. So, all right. I want to throw something else came up a while ago. Wasn't really planning on talking about it, and I know I didn't cover it in the pre-recording conversation. But somebody brought up Lanzini. I happen to know what his wages are, and he wants to double his wages, and he won't even get into six figures a week. Is Lanzini out of line asking to get to something less than Andy Carroll, slightly more than Samir Nasri was last year? Is that crazy? Tom, I see a smile on your face. I'm going to throw to you.
I've got a smile on my face just because Charlie's just sent me a text.
Sorry.
It was about a video we watched.
Group chat.
No, it was about a video we watched last week. A video about Shinji Nakamura. Completely unrelated to this. He was trying to make me laugh. If you've not seen it, it's a great video. Some little Scottish boys opening his cards. Yeah, he packs a little Shinji Nakamura and he gets the name wrong. And it's funny. If you haven't seen it, you should go watch it. I'm
requiring you to post a link to it on Twitter after we're done.
I will quite happily do that. But no, I wouldn't say he's out of line. I think it's an unfortunate set of circumstances. I'll try and keep my answer short because I know the other guys have probably got opinions on it as well. But yeah, I love Lanzini. I love me a bit of Lanzini. I think obviously he was so unfortunate for what happened over in Argentina, and I think he was, on his way to being that sort of our best attacking threat at the club behind Payet. I always absolutely adored Payet, but I think at the same time, Lanzini, what he offered and that potential he had. I mean, he was sort of talk of him going to Liverpool at one point. He was that Coutinho mould of player. So I think it's, on the one hand, it's difficult to sort of offer somebody those wages after they've just come back. But I probably don't think a lot of people agree with me, but I would be inclined to not necessarily offer him what he wants, but an improved contract, let's say, because I think that it was completely out of his, control with what happened with the injury. And I think obviously if we see the Lanzini evolve before that, then he deserved that contract 100%. And I think, like I said, that last few games he had, I said it on Hammers Chat videos all the time, people were getting on at him, but at the end of the day, that really was his pre-season. He didn't have enough time. He just jumped straight back in when he was fit and ready, and he didn't have that time to sort of get up to speed of 11 versus 11 full contact. So for me, yes, I would offer him an improved contract, but not necessarily what he's looking for.
James, keep Lanzini, sell Lanzini. What are your thoughts? Pay him?
Definitely keep for now. Do I think he's worth $100,000 a week or more at this moment? No. I don't know what he's on, but I have an idea. And I think we can easily pay him quite a bit more. My biggest problem with Lanzini is he's always had little injuries that pop up 2 or 3 times a year. And he also is incredibly inconsistent for windows, little small windows here and there in the season. I was really thinking that last year was going to be a breakout season for him, and then obviously he got that's Thompson, very unfortunate injury. I think he deserves a preseason and at least a half a season this year to prove to us what he can do and where he fits in the team. And I think he can have a great season. I really do. And at that point, I think that's when we really offer him a bigger contract if he's been refusing to sign. And if he hasn't, let him go in January if he wants to go. I love him to death. He's always been very humble. always seemed like he gave his all on the pitch. Been a really good player for us. I always thought he had a lot more potential than what he's shown, but that's been a lot of West Ham. A lot of the problems with the team, not just him. And I was really excited for last year until he got hurt, and so I think he deserves a chance to play under Pellegrini with a better style of football with better players around him. I really do.
Okay, Justin, Lanzini, what are your thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I've thought about this over the past week, and my answer is going to differ a little bit from what I said last week, which was don't give in at all because you set precedent of bending over backwards for other players in the future, and other players are just going to expect West Ham to just submit to their demands. But I can understand where Lanzini's coming from. He's seeing all these players that we're signing that are just coming straight into the team and making, over two times more than he is, and he has given a lot to the club. So I can understand where he's coming from. However, based on what I've read, and I don't know the exact numbers, but asking for over 2x the salary that he's making now in the six figures. I agree with what's been said on this show here. I'm not really quite sure he deserves that. He has been injury prone, and it's a bit ballsy of him to ask for this type of this pay increase after essentially missing a whole year. I mean, really, as Tom mentioned earlier, it was his preseason the last month and a half. He really didn't get into it. You could tell he was rusty. So it's a bit ballsy of him to ask. I would maybe give in a little bit, but based on what I've heard from you guys and from what I've read, I would not give him what he's asking for.
So I'm going to change that question a little bit to you, Charlie, just because it's early in the morning your time. If I told you that Declan Rice and Manuel Lanzini are getting paid the same number right now, just on a basic wage, ignore incentives and appearance fees, what does that make you think?
That one is probably slightly overpaid for his experience, and one's probably slightly underpaid for his experience. I mean, the thing with Lanzini is that he came in from not completely unknown, but certainly to the wider footballing community, basically unknown. And I can't remember, he's probably had maybe one contract extension since then, but I can't remember off the top of my head, and it wouldn't have gone up by that much. I think Declan, if you go by form, he is obviously worth all of the money in the world. If you go by form and how he's been playing, then he's obviously worth a huge amount, but he still is very early in his career. Whereas Lanzini, there have been times when, to be frank, there have been times when, it'll be 2-2, and we need someone in the midfield to just come around and take the game by the scruff of the neck, and he has that ability. Although I don't think he's shown it on a consistent basis, and he certainly hasn't shown it since coming back from injury, he does have that ability. And I think it's not only his dribbling, it's not only his passing, which I think is sort of underrated and underlooked. It's also stuff like, referencing, young Tom telling me out for trying to make him laugh, but referencing, Shinji Nakamura, his free kicks were great, and so is Lanzini. Lanzini can hit a good free kick as well, and it's something that we miss sometimes, is that ability to drag it up. And I think, given the players that we're bringing in, like Fornals, I wouldn't surprise me to see a midfield free, or to see Lanzini play a bit deeper and create. Gio always says this, it's always stuck in my head, the phrase, create for the creators. Have a guy who's slightly deeper, who can then get the ball forward to Fornals, to Antonio, to Yarmolenko, to whoever, and give them the opportunity to then find the assist. He doesn't necessarily need to find the assist. He just needs to have the ability, like, say, Moussa Dembele did at Tottenham, to be able to wriggle out of presses and find the ball and progress it forward in a way. And I think he is actually a great option to do that. Unfortunately for him, he's asked for this raise at the wrong time. He's come back from a major injury and has shown literally nothing from it, basically. You alluded to the fact that it sets a bad precedent. Let's be honest, Arnautovic set that precedent. He threw the biggest strop humanly possible, and then not only did he win, he got given a huge amount of money from it. And I think now Lanzini looks at it and he says, well, I could probably do something similar. And it's unfortunate, but I wouldn't give it to him right now, just because I would look at him and say, look, you've just come back from your injury. If you hit the ground running first 10 games, bang, there's your extension, there's your money contract, because you've proved your worth. But signing someone like Fornals kind of gives us that flexibility to look at him and go, actually, we've got Pablo Fornals. We've got, as injury prone as he is, Jack Wilshere. There's options in those roles now. We don't necessarily need, you're not as vital to the team as you once were. That's not me saying we should sell him. That's just putting us in a slightly stronger position than we were with contract negotiation.
All right, before I throw it to open, I got one question. Who have we gotten rid of this year that you are not going to miss? James? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just so basically what Charlie's saying, you need to get a gambling problem like Arnautovic before you can get an improved contract.
I'm trying to avoid that at all costs, lad.
Reportedly.
All right, James, who have we gotten rid of that you are not missing? Who are you glad to see the back of right now?
Glad to see the back of. Let's see, who have we gotten rid of? We know that was Adrian. Probably Andy Carroll. I love him because Andy Carroll was amazing when he was fit, and he had some amazing goals for us. But he was always injured, and he didn't fit the system under Pellegrini, and he cost us so much money, just ridiculous. So I think if I had to pick up who's gone, I mean, it's easy to say Perez, but he actually did a job when he came on. He was just on really high wages for what he was doing. Sure. He was really good at what he did on coming on and scoring goals. So I think it'd probably be Andy. And I hate saying it because I do like him. I think he's a good guy. But just our return on him was so bad. So I had to go with Andy.
I won't send Jeremiah Carlson after you. Justin, were you glad to see the backup, buddy?
Yeah, I agree with James. It's probably Carroll for me as well. And not because he was a bad guy in the dressing room. It seemed like everyone loved him. Seemed like he was a good dude. But for the amount of injuries he had, combined with the wages that we were paying him, it was obviously not good for the side. So I mean, it's a bummer. Injuries suck. I've been there as an athlete myself. It's awful and something you can't control all the time. But out of everyone we've let go, I would say it's Carroll.
Tom, who do you not miss?
Yeah, I think Carroll might take a clean sweep here. I think he's had some memorable moments. I think his ability as a natural goal scorer is incredible. I think he genuinely is kind of in that Dean Ashton level of what if, because when he was at Newcastle, he was unbelievable, and it clearly every time he's played somewhere, he's always had glimpses of that talent. The overhead kick against Crystal Palace for one. The hat-trick against Arsenal. I remember coming on and scoring several late winners. I remember being at Stoke at home a couple of years ago, and he scored, I think, like at 86th, 87th minute or whatever. So there are times, obviously, when he has sort of flashes of brilliance, but we just don't get to see it too often. And I think probably mainly for his injuries and the fact that he was on over 100 grand a week. And I mean, I can understand that at the time when we sort of signed him and put him on those wages, he was in good health. I think obviously the injuries were known, but they weren't as sort of prominent as they have been in the last sort of 6 months to 2 years. I should probably say 3 years now. But again, an unbelievable, pretty much unplayable player on his day. But we just didn't get to see it often enough. And unfortunately, there was a few too many strikers or good players coming through that were scoring goals and weren't getting injured. But unfortunately for Andy, he just couldn't stay healthy. And I know, obviously, like you said, as Justin said, as an athlete, that's, probably one of the, biggest issues is because obviously there's probably times where he's been very depressed and, down and all he's wanted to do is play football. But it's just, unfortunately for us, it's a shame for him that it just sort of never quite materialised into being able to play a full season. So, yeah, it's one of those sort of double-edged swords. It's kind of like, yes, I'm glad he's gone, but for other reasons, because like I said, the guy, Andy Carroll, always seems like a laughable, nice character to have around the dressing room.
Charlie, clean sweep? Andy Carroll?
No, probably not to be contrarian as per usual, but probably not. I think Andy, up until this season, whenever he came on, I was excited. Not because I think he is the world's best player, but he was very, very effective at what he did. And especially I was shouting this from the rooftop since the moment Bilic basically came in. That man would have, if it all had gone well, would have been the ultimate super sub. Jesus Christ! Imagine being 75 minutes into a match, you've been run ragged and you're tired, and then you see Andy Carroll come on the pitch. Like, that's a hell for any defender, really.
He's
But
brutal.
this season, he is. That man's just, and he's a man mountain as well. He's bloody massive. But this season he just hasn't shown it, and it's his right time to go, unfortunately. And I genuinely wish him all the best. But for me, the one I'm fine with seeing the back off is Samir Nasri. Had maybe a game and a half for us where I thought, oh, this guy's really good. The Arsenal game especially, he was very, very good. I remember watching that. I was in the stadium and just watching him go, flipping hell. He's like he didn't have 18 months of doing nothing. But high wages, if we would have kept him, he probably would have had to be on the higher, reportedly. And I don't think we even remotely close to needed him when we brought him in.
Would have hindered us signing Fornals as well, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. And imagine from my perspective, because I don't think we necessarily need 4 nows, we've also got Samir Nasri kicking about. So I'm completely fine with seeing him gone. Hold no dear affection to him like I would, say, Carroll or Adrian for that point.
So I'm completely with you, but for slightly different reasons. I've had a chance to get to know some of the people who are close to the club, and I will not for a second pretend I'm in the know, but I've had a chance to talk a little bit. And there was a problem with showing up on time. There was a problem with the attitude in the dressing room. And yeah, as you said, he didn't show up a lot because he was injured a lot. And I am freaking tired of being the old folks' home for retired football players. I'm just bloody done with it. All right, guys. In 5 minutes here, it's free for all time. Everybody goes. Are you happy with the business so far? Who wants it?
Yeah, go on.
Well,
Oh, go on. No, Justin, go.
yeah, sure. I mean, I'm definitely happy with the signings we made. The backup goalkeepers, free transfers seem to be good quality backups. Obviously, Fornals, I didn't know too much about him before we signed him, but everyone seems to highly rate him. So excited for that. You got like the Arsenal fans, screaming and crying. Why didn't we sign him? Why didn't we sign him? Supposedly he was on their radar for a couple of years, so happy about that. Really want Gomez. I'd be ecstatic if we got him. I think it'd be a great transfer window if we got him and maybe Guillermo Maripán or Jordan. But the thing that I really love, and I think the thing that's different from summers past, is that the business we're doing is being done quietly, quickly, and efficiently. There's no kerfuffling about. There's no. I was going to swear. I won't swear, but there's just everything is just being done efficiently, and there's no BSing around. Pellegrini and Husillos know who they want. They're trying to get who they want. They have backup plans in case it doesn't work out. So, yeah, I'm happy so far. Again, I think we need a couple more signings. Hopefully, we can get Gomez and one other person. But yeah, happy so far.
Who wants it?
I'll go. I mean, I think, to be honest with you, I'm ecstatic. Like, I think it's,
I think you got a hallelujah from Tom.
I did. Well,
I saw the hands.
He saw the hands.
Last week somebody went Old Testament. Tonight we got the hallelujahs. Thank you, Tom.
No, I thought I was unmuted, so I went to go speak, and then Charlie spoke over me, which rarely happens, actually.
Oh,
so
sorry. I apologise, Thomas, but I'm more important, so I'm going to talk. I'm static. I think, when you're a football fan, sometimes it's...
And we've lost James.
It's all
apparently you really offended James.
A transfer... Yeah, sometimes having a really successful transfer window, and especially in a position where we were just in, where I honestly have been absolutely hated watching us from a business standpoint for years and years and years. And I think I've looked at, Tottenham, I've looked at Man City, and I've been so jealous of just the way they've gone about their business. It's nice to see us for once going through and being really professional, just nailing it. Like you say, getting it done early, getting stuff done early is absolutely wonderful. And sometimes seeing us make a signing like Fornals, where it's just, I don't know, man, it's just seeing us make a signing like Fornals where we've actually poached someone from bigger clubs. Like, he could have had the choice of big clubs. There are rumors about big clubs. There are rumors about Arsenal. There are rumors about people like that. And whether they're true or not, seeing us roll up, and it's like that, Aguero! bro, it's like that excitement. It's like that level of just hype of seeing someone that good come in and you just go, mate, we've actually for once put our stuff together. We've got, again, without swearing, we've put our stuff together. We've got it all together, and we look like a professional club. We're actually doing bits for it. And I think we've been brilliant, and everything from now on is a bonus. I hope we nail it, because too often have I gone, we've had a great summer, and then we go and sell everyone at the end, and I'm like, well, what the hell was that? Where did this go from? So I really hope we keep the people we need, but so far I'm absolutely ecstatic. Yeah.
I think I better let Tom go, because I think Tom's going to explode. Go, Tom, before you explode physically on the screen.
I apologise.
No, it's it's a good job that me and Charlie are friends. I'll give him that. It's because we've known each other for 4 or 5 years. No, I think I've always said, in whose loss we trust. It was I said 2 summers ago, it was the best summer signing that we made, bar Anderson and the likes. I think that was the best bit of business we've ever done as a football club, is appointing somebody in that role who knows what they're doing. We've historically always been a selling club, and I think couple that with the signings that we've made, I think it's only right that we're headed in this right direction, where we've got clubs like Man United coming in and saying, oh, we want Declan Rice, we want Issa Diop, and us turning around and going, well, actually, hang on a minute, no, we don't need to sell you anymore. And I think since we've had Pellegrini and Huselos in the club, I think they've changed that mentality of where we are as a club. It's unprecedented to see, transfer records being broken, one after the other, just so, with such ease. We've never seen that at this club. So I think it's, the future really is bright, I think, for us. I think David Sullivan taking a massive step back, and I don't know if that's due to the fact of his health or because of, people saying that, take a back seat, mate, your voice and your mouth is ruining special things here. So no, I'm so happy with what we've done, the way we've transitioned, and it can only lead to a brighter future for us, I think, at the end of the day. And David Sullivan, I don't mind him chipping in once or twice for his well-known Sully special, some South American whiz kid, because I'm sure we'll get another Sully special in this transfer window. But no, I think I think this week specifically and the last month, I think the Fornals signing and us turning around to perhaps sort of the biggest club in Premier League history in Man United and just saying thanks but no thanks, I just think it's brilliant times to sort of be a West Ham fan, and it's constantly on the up at the minute.
Felt good. James, close us out, buddy. Happy or sad?
I'm ecstatic. Man, we had this conversation last week and then woke up Tuesday morning and all of a sudden Pablo Fornals is going to sign for us. I was just like, I'm texting everybody. Did you see the news and reports? And I mean, it came out of nowhere and blindsided us. And then 4 days later, it was official. Friday morning, he was made official. And that was such a breath of fresh air, very reminiscent of things that were happening last summer. There were a few more leaks last summer. But, I mean, Roberto, goalkeeper, completely out of left field. Nobody knew he was signing until the day he was announced. And then Fornals, 3 or 4 days, it was done. And he wasn't even linked with possible target. He's coming in. It was like, Pablo Fornals is going to be signed for West Ham, and then it was done 3 or 4 days later. It's amazing, and I absolutely love it. It's nice to know kind of in advance who's coming in and talk about it and all that, but it's ultimately disheartening when you have like a William Carvalho situation or a Lacazette situation just drags on all summer. Carlos Baca, back and forth, and it never gets anywhere and just breaks your heart,
And suddenly we're owned by the Dildo Brothers.
Exactly.
Which felt so good as a West Ham fan.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Maybe pick a different turn of phrase there, but we'll move on.
I was just going to quickly jump in and say, I think, and I don't want this to sort of come across as sound harsh on, in the nose or ITKs, whatever you want to call them. And I know that X does a fantastic job with his radio show, and I know that currently you obviously have direct lines to David Gold and whatnot. But I just think sometimes that side of things, I don't think it helps us. I think when Sky say, oh, we're linked with this player and this player, I know for a fact it's directly taken from what X says or Hugh or Sean say over at Claret & Hugh. And I think a lot of that in the summer of when we say we're linked to Backer and we're linked to thing, I think it's because they see these in the nose say stuff and they take it as credence that is actually what's happening, and then we get the whole media circus that West Ham have been linked to this and this, and it's not happened. So I think also I think I say that because Jack Sullivan obviously has taken a massive backseat because he would always beat the media team to signings when they came in. So I think him having that little side project of here's the ladies team, go develop it. He's done a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
But I think that's taken his mind off of tweeting constantly about rumours and stuff. So yeah, I think it's if I could change one thing about the whole thing, I think it would be sort of hearing less, because I'm the same as James in as much as I like it when it's not announced and then it's like, oh shit, we've signed somebody. I think that side of it is good for us because it keeps our business out of the shop window and for everybody to see. So yeah, I think it's like I said, it's not a knock against what X and those guys do. I would like to see less of it sometimes, I think is what I'm trying to say.
I'm in the same boat, and I'm pleased with the goalkeeper signings. I think they're going to serve a purpose. Fabianski, and then we have Trott, who hopefully is going to go out on loan. They're going to serve a purpose, and it's going to be fine. But Fornals, it came out of nowhere, and it was to me, I think Justin said, a huge coup for us.
Yep.
Just absolutely. 2 seasons ago, he tied Suarez and Messi for assists in the league. And that's how I knew who he was, because I was like, who is this kid? He was 22 at the time or something, And so I kind of just paid attention to him. And yeah, he had an off season, and I think that's why we were able to scoop him up. But man, he had the ability to literally change the game and make some incredible plays. And there were some very big clubs linked to him, and the fact that we pulled it off was massive for us. So I'm very well pleased with the way it was done and the fact that we signed it.
Cool. Gentlemen, I can see from the clock on the wall that it's now 3:15 in the morning in part of the world that I'm talking to right now. I've got to be on a flight at 7 o'clock in the morning going to Northern Canada, so I'm taking my week off. I'm going to be in transfer blackout because there's no internet where I'm going, or at least nothing useful. Gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough, especially through the technical goof, Justin and James, with me forgetting to record last week, and then, of course, my PC crashing halfway through tonight. Guys, I think we got both parts of the recording. If nothing else, everybody will be wondering what the first half was, because you guys were amazing. Hey, everybody on American Hammers, I encourage you to, chat back with this. Keep in contact with us on Twitter. I think Tim and Lee have got a couple more shows coming this week. Folks, in the interim, come on, your irons.